So jumping over to like the camera-based tech question, we're talking about, the love of your lives, but we're also, a tech company. We love cameras, we love technology. So I wanted to know, like, what was the first love that you had in terms of either technology or maybe specifically like cameras, the first love of a camera that you can remember?
For me, it was probably my 35 millimeter in high school during my photography class. That was
Oh,
my first
okay.
experience with taking pictures and cameras. And what was cool about it is it was all film.
Hmm.
So we had a dark room where we would go in and develop the photos. And that was just a lot of fun. So that was my first connection to cameras. I also love my little, it wasn't a BlackBerry, but it was like a slider phone.
Yeah, sure.
So in terms of tech, that was like my baby
Yeah.
back there when texting was really big,
Hmm.
started getting really big. So yeah, it's fun.
What about you, Paul?
Yeah, it's interesting. Everyone has a camera in their pocket now. So like everyone has a camera, and sometimes a pretty significant connection with that phone or camera that they have. Before smartphones, at least when I remember smartphones, I had a thin, I think it was Casio. It was it was very thin, but it flipped into a camcorder. And so it was
Ooh.
like not a phone, but it was like a digital camera / camcorder that I would run around with in high school, but it was thin and compact and it was pretty advanced for its time. I know it was 720. But I got some really interesting photos, although I've lost, I think, everything that I ever got on that.
Probably for the best.
But I really liked it. It was fun.
Yeah, the jump to 720 was like shocking because when
Mhm.
you were used to 360 and like TV, like nothing as a consumer level, you couldn't get anywhere close to like that HD quality. So I remember when I first got like my iPhone 4, it was like astonishing because came with a camera, a functioning digital camera, and it was 2009. I was probably like 12 or 13, and I was just shocked by what you could do with a phone camera than all the other things you could do with it as well. But it kind of blew my mind at the time. I'm like, wow, this it started the spark of, digital photography, really, I think, for a lot of people. So jumping back into more Valentine's Day, I want to know if you have like a special story or like a moment where you really remember making someone feel special. Someone, maybe a Galentine's Day. We can kind of shift gears for you, Tess. And do you remember having like a great Galentine's? You recently had a Galentine's, didn't
I
you?
recently had a Galentine's, which this weekend we went to Dueling Pianos at the
Ooh.
Townhouse in Media. But what made it special is it was my girlfriend Liza's birthday.
Mhm.
So we tipped them and had them play happy birthday to her. And she was
Aw.
absolutely mortified because it was like a room full of like giddy girls, but it was so much fun. So
Mm,
that was special.
that's really sweet.
Yeah.
You ever had a Broentine date, Paul? You ever?
That's a good question. I feel like all the men that I was hanging out with, they either had girlfriends or they didn't.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
the guys that didn't were like, against Valentine's Day for that reason.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
So if I didn't have a girlfriend, I think I was just pretending that Valentine's Day wasn't happening.
Yeah, that is a great question, though. Like, I'm curious what you guys' are overall thoughts of Valentine's Day. A lot of people are very negative about Valentine's Day. It's like a manufactured holiday to some
It
people,
is, but
and they feel like
fun.
angry that they're forced to buy things and do things on the 14th. I think it's great. It's awesome that like we can pick one day and it's all about love and positivity and showing kindness to people.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Why would you look at it as a bad thing? I get it. It's all about making money, but you guys have overall thoughts or opinions on Valentine's Day?
I like that it's extended beyond just significant other. Like it's fun to celebrate with your kids. Like I know you recently had a dance with your kids. How was it, by
Yeah.
the way?
That was one of the most fun things. We had a Valentine's Day dance last weekend.
You did.
And that our school had never had that before because it really depends on the parents setting stuff up like that, the PTO, parent teacher organization. So they put together a Valentine's Day dance that was wonderful.
It was fun. The girls had fun.
The girls especially had a lot of fun. Girls, little girls especially, because I have a 4-year-old little girl and a 6-year-old, and they were just like, "What dress are you gonna wear?" They were freaking out. They were loving it.
That's so
cute.
fun.
When you talk about love, I always think of like compatibility, right? And our joysticks are compatible with 3 different joysticks we have here, compatible with all of our PTZOptics cameras. So I'm curious, like when you're picking a joystick out of the 3 that we have here in front of us, how do we find that compatibility? Is there like a certain camera that goes well with one joystick, or really could you mix and match? I'll start out with you, Paul.
That's a good question. These joysticks are designed in general for PTZOptics cameras. So there are some buttons on these joysticks that were really designed for controls that are only available in PTZOptics. But that being said, it's very much standards based. So from a serial perspective, Sony originally wrote Sony Visca, and almost everyone standardized on that except for Panasonic and I think Vadio, or just some 2 outliers there. So in general, most cameras will work under the Sony protocol, almost like 80%, maybe 90%. Then there's security cameras that are in a whole other world, but they use Pelco and they use OnVIF, and which are also supported in some of these joysticks. So they very much are built around standards, meaning most cameras will work with them. But our engineers have added some extra things like custom buttons for auto tracking that they've actually built in a way that can be customized for almost any camera. So they're really wide open to work with any model. But out of the box, like the manual, the setup guide is really designed for PTZOptics cameras.
Okay. And would you say that all 3 joysticks, they work with our Move SE, our Move 4K, and the Link 4K cameras?
For sure.
Okay. So all 3 cameras will work with any of the joysticks that you see here today. So talking about technology and love, I personally met my fiance in person, but we didn't really connect until later on because of Facebook. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for helping and suggesting her as a friend. And now here we are 7 years later. It's pretty crazy. So I'm curious, how have you seen technology? You guys are both coming up in an age where technology was booming when you guys met each other's partners, but you didn't really meet through technology. So how do you see love changing because of technology? I'll start with you, Tess.
Well, it definitely has changed the game. I don't know if it's narrowed the playing field or opened the playing field wider. I would say opened it because you get to meet people that you would have never otherwise met in person before. I kind of skipped the Tinder and the app dating age, and so did you, Paul. But it happened very quickly after we found our partners. And it's just interesting. I think it's definitely opened up a lot of potential for meeting new people, I'd say. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. Do you have friends that have met partners?
Oh, yeah.
Through
Most
online?
of my friends have met their partners. Well, about half of them, I'd say, have met their partners through online dating.
Have you noticed a
apps.
trend? Is it mainly Tinder? Is it mainly a certain
Bumble's
app?
pretty popular.
Bumble seems to be the majority.
Especially with my girlfriends, they like Bumble because they get to pick who
It's
they want
all up to them.
It's all up
Yeah,
to
they have the
them.
power, truly, and
Yeah,
everything.
which is interesting.
What about you, Paul? How do you see love and technology?
Well, it's funny. My wife and I met in person, but then she reached out to me on Facebook years later. So we have a similar story there. And I'm like, thank you for Facebook, because it was like a Facebook message where she was like, hey, I know we dated years before, and she lived in the other side of the country in Missouri. And she was like, do you want to hang out again? And it's like, yes. And now we're married for 10 years.
Wow.
11 almost. But what I think's happening, so the playing field is widened, right? So lots more dates. But I think people's expectations are the same, and they think they're going to fall in love every time. And it's if it's that wide and everybody's jumping around so much, you're not going to fall in love with every person that you swipe with.
That's true.
So I think the people are, from what I've been talking to people, they actually get a little bit upset. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's it's actually easier. I believe in love at first sight, personally. And so it's okay, well, you're going to have to put yourself out there 100 times. If this is the game everyone's playing, one of these times it's going to be love, and then you're good. But, everyone's just kind of swiping so much. And I feel like if it's not perfect, it's not love at first sight, people are just I'm just one swipe away from my next match. And it gets people to jump around a lot more. Everyone's dating a lot more.
Yeah, maybe that's why it's a
definitely.
little bit more surface level at first.
I feel like people are a lot more choosy now because you can immediately choose and say no before you even
If
get
they're
to
not
hear
a
a
perfect
single
10 out
word.
of 10 in every aspect.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people who aren't giving people a chance because they just think they know them or they have this preconceived notion of who they are already. So, Paul, you mentioned love at first sight, so I feel like I have to ask more about that as well. So I know the biggest argument between love at first sight is the difference between true love, a romantic love that you have for a partner versus just a physical attraction. So how would you say there is a difference between the two, whether you see someone and you're immediately attracted to them because of their appearance, or is it really, a deeper connection? Is it really love at first sight?
That's interesting. I do think that those two things that you mentioned, the appearance and the chemical reaction in your body, right? The physical attraction to someone, those two things can be intertwined. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if you have a surface level connection with someone, it's going to make you take that step and see, and so I think that's very common for everyone, to be like physically attracted to someone first and then learn whether or not your like personality types work.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll just give you my example here, but my wife told me when she first saw me, she said, "Do I know you?" And she was like, "Where do I know you from? Is it from school? Is it from this? Is it from that?" And I sort of felt the same way. Like, do I know you? Like, we were like weird. Like, we thought we knew each other. And she legit was like, "Where do I know you from?" And so that's how we knew.
Wow. I never knew that about you. That's so sweet.
That is really sweet. I feel like kind of a similar kind of connection, but there's a lot of people that have very successful, loving relationships who don't feel like that. So it is hard to kind of just say that's the case when there's a lot of working, loving relationships out there. So it is kind of like we all find our different ways and find love in different ways. So I'm curious, if there's a certain way you like spending Valentine's Day. We heard from Mike, our lovely producer in the back there. He likes to not celebrate it on the day, maybe the weekend before or after, because you kind of get rid of the crowd, the messiness of it all. But Tess, do you have like a certain way you like it? Is pajamas in bed and pizza kind of night? Is that what you think?
I'm the same way as Mike. I like to celebrate it on a non-busier night, a night that's easier to get a sitter for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm all about Valentine's Day. Bring on the chocolate, bring on a nice dinner, holding hands, the whole shebang.
Oh, I love that. What about you, Paul?
I'm starting to shift to get my kids involved.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I'm getting my kids involved, they're probably giving their Valentines to each other in class.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like having this, and it's for the first time, I think, for them. I don't even know if they did it the past couple of years. Because like you couldn't give candy to other kids or whatever the past couple of years. So I'm riding the train of like the hype for my kids. So I'm like, all right, it's Valentine's Day. Like, pack your bags, pack your Valentines. Let's go. When we get home, I'm going to give my wife her present in front of my kids so that they can see the gesture and be part of it. Yeah. So I'm doing it all on the day.
Oh, that's really nice. I like that.
Nice.
So your kids still bring the Valentines? Do they give them out to like everyone in class, or is it like they pick and choose who they want to give it to?
My oldest daughter did something special for one boy.
Wow.
I was surprised. But it wasn't for love. She actually was like, this boy's been bothering her. So she's like, she actually thinks that this is going to like solve some issues with them.
That is a great thought.
That's a very adult way of approaching that. Like, shower them with love,
Yeah.
Power of love.
I really like that. That's great. So I wanted to do a little fun game, and I wanted you guys, since it's Valentine's and we're talking about creating Valentines, I wanted you guys to write a little love poem.
A love poem.
Instead of to anyone in particular, I want maybe a little love poem to one of our joysticks here now.
Oh boy.
The HC Joy, the PT Joy, or our Super Joy in front of Paul over there. So Tess, is there a certain joystick you would like to write a poem to?
I would pick the HC Joy.
Okay. And Paul, what about you?
I will pick the Super Joy.
Okay. Alrighty, let's start to brainstorm a little bit. We'll get you guys going, thinking about a poem here. And while you guys are working on that, I'm going to throw it to you guys in the chat. Let us know, what is your favorite joystick? Maybe there's one of these 3 joysticks that you love, that you want to have. Throw a rose in the chat. Let us know which joystick you like, whether it's the PT Joy G4 or the HC Joy G4 or the Super Joy. That is Paul's writing a poem about. And remind me, which one are you doing the poem about, Tess?
The HC Joy.
HC Joy. Okay, great. So another question I wanted to ask, and I want to distract you, so I'll kind of rant here on my own while you guys are writing your poem. And I want to know as well from the chat, is there like a romantic song or a romantic movie that you love or you think of when you think of Valentine's Day?
Wise men say.
Why is that?
Only fools rush in.
I guess that makes sense. It's a very lovely romantic song. Okay, that's a great choice. Yeah, I love that. Alrighty, so they're wrapping it up. I hope everybody's having a great Valentine's Day. I don't have any plans for tonight. I'm going to make my fiance some pasta, probably.
So you're doing pasta too. We're doing raviolis.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. That seems to be a lovely romantic way.
What are you cooking with your home chef?
I'm actually, this is a team sport here. Love goes 2 ways. So I've got my stuff, and my wife is going to handle figuring out what we're doing from a dinner perspective.
Oh, okay.
So the man has to take care of a lot of the stuff, like the gift. I think is important and stuff like that. But I don't actually know what the dinner plans are.
Has that gift changed for you over time? You guys are together for a decade now. Like, has
Yeah.
it started out expensive? Has it gotten more expensive over time?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, like nicer jewelry over the years.
I honestly, I think the anniversary is more important than Valentine's.
Sure.
So like that's how I feel about it. So like Valentine's to me is a little bit of a chocolates and not a gag gift, but like nothing crazy. And then the anniversaries are the important ones to me.
Yeah, that's simple and sweet. I like that. That makes sense. What about for you, Tess? How's your gifting changed over the years?
We don't really do Valentine's gifts. I might get flowers and a card or something like that, or chocolate. But we are saving money, so we just don't spend too much on Valentine's gifts.
Sure.
Do you guys do gifts? I know you are doing gifts. We were talking about this.
Yeah, it's always a challenge, right? It's like flowers are tough because they die so quickly, right? So I always want to. I've over the past couple of years have shifted over to houseplants, succulents, things that like will hopefully last longer than 2 weeks, like a dozen roses would. They die so quickly. Definitely chocolates. I think that's another big question I have for you guys: is dark chocolate, milk chocolate, or white chocolate? What are you going to go with, Paul?
Definitely dark.
Dark chocolate every time?
Love dark chocolate.
You're also dark?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. That's not my preferred. That's probably number 3 for me, honestly. I prefer milk chocolate, but I think my favorite is like white chocolate. I love white chocolate.
White chocolate?
Yeah,
really?
And that's like a crazy thing for a lot of people, but I love like the simplicity. I love the taste of vanilla, which is basically all that white chocolate tastes like.
I get that for my son. He loves vanilla.
Yeah, I love it. And there's like Lindor the chocolate truffles. Oh, those things are like amazing. So good. We had like kind of a mini snow day yesterday. So I got my fiance was off of work. So that was really nice. We got to spend some time together at home. And that was kind of our Valentine's in a way. All right, Tess, we have a little bit more time here. How's your poem coming? You almost there?
I only need one word left.
You're doing a haiku or are you doing something specific?
I'm doing a rhyme.
Oh, okay. All right, Paul, are you almost there? You almost ready to present?
I just got a couple lines here.
Almost ready to present
you
to
ready
the class
for this?
your Valentine? Right. Yeah, I think we're ready.
All right, I got buttons glowing, lights aflare, in studios, both here and there, capturing moments frame by frame in the director's skillful game.
Wow, that was great. Great job. Loved that. That was a beautiful love poem for our Super Joy.
Mine's only just a few sentences because we didn't have a lot of time here. Alberto says, Super Joy, auto triggers help get around the stage quickly. Thank you for voting, Alberto.
Thank you, yes.
The HC Joy is my favorite toy. It helps me control my cameras like I control my boy.
Oh.
The RS232 makes it easy to control. Daisy chain my cameras and cue my B-roll.
Oh, wow, I love that. Good. That's great.
There you go.
That was amazing. Great job, guys.
That was fun.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for torturing yourselves by writing a love poem. Is there like a Valentine's gift that you got that you will never forget? What's the best Valentine's Day gift you've ever been given?
I don't even remember. I can't even think of Valentine's gifts. I did get a diamond necklace from Steve.
Wow.
And that was pretty special.
You still have that. Didn't lose that,
yes,
right?
Yes, I still have that.
Okay.
Like I lost my engagement ring. I did not lose the diamond necklace. I just don't wear it often because it's nice.
Sure.
Yeah, the Valentine's Day doesn't just ring in my bell in my memory. All the anniversaries I can remember, but not Valentine's Day.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, it's not like a huge day of gift giving. I feel like the longer I've been in a relationship, the smaller the gift giving has gotten.
It's more gestures or like candy or something.
Yes. How do you guys feel about the like book of coupons or like?
I've done that for Steve.
You've done that? Okay.
Yeah. Coupons.
You know what I'm talking about, Paul? Like
no, I actually don't.
Like it's like a coupon book. I mean, how would you describe this, Tess? It's like
so you give your partner coupons. So it's like one free get out of jail free card, like end the fight right now, or like you get to control the remote, or I give you a back massage.
I'll do the dishes,
that
like
does make sense.
Those kinds
fun.
of things. Yeah,
I've done that before when we were extra broke.
Yeah, because they're personal gifts. They're like truly gifts of gesture, right? Things that you could do to offer someone in a time of need. So what do you do when you aren't in a relationship? I know for you guys, it's been a long time, but do you remember what Valentine's Day was like when you didn't have anyone or when
Treat
you were
yourself.
alone? Yeah. So how do you treat yourself on a day like
Get
this?
Thai food. For
Hang out with the
Indian food,
gals.
it's mostly about food, feeding yourself, or go get a massage, or get your nails done.
Okay, mani-pedi.
Yeah, it's definitely about self-love if you're single, I think.
Yeah.
Or it can be like moping in your sorrows, drinking, or maybe you're happy and content and it's just like any other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think ignorance is bliss on that one for me, where it's just like, okay, yeah, I can just stick that right out of my mind if I'm, in the college, I wasn't really lucky with the ladies. So it's just like, forget about this day.
Yeah, right.
I want to go back to joysticks for a second and ask, how do you like see the future of joystick control? Where do you think we go from here? Do we mix switchers with joysticks? Do they all become one? Will we have joysticks still be their own thing and switchers and switcher controls is separate? Where do you see us moving towards with joystick control?
In the same way that there's still TriCasters and
Mhm.
physical switchers, I think joysticks will stick around too, just because people like that hardware component.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'll say stick around for the NAB show and we'll find out.
Where the controls.
I think we're going to
towards.
see things from our company, things from other companies. I think NAB is what, less than 2 months away.
Yeah.
So that's going to be I think a big change.
Oh, we
Oh,
lost
no,
our
we lost
love.
our love sign.
We lost our beautiful love sign.
all
No. We'll have to bring it back up when the show starts. So, what is like the most romantic place that you guys have ever visited? Whether a foreign country, whether another city in the country, whether it was just a local spot in downtown, a restaurant that you guys might love. What do you think of when you think of romantic? While you're thinking of that, I got to, with my mom and my aunt, eat in the Eiffel Tower. So not romantic in terms of who I was with, but it was romantic in terms of the setting. There was 3
Wow.
engagements when I went to eat there. 3 separate couples all got engaged in the Eiffel Tower that night.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So I felt very bad for the third person who was probably just waiting there like, oh my God, like 2 people have already gone. Like my moment's
That's
ruined.
horrible.
Wow.
funny.
I think that makes it better.
Yeah, in a way. Yeah.
Our honeymoon in Mexico was pretty romantic.
Yeah.
But I can't think of. I can remember one hotel we stayed in that I thought was really romantic. It was in
Mhm.
Lancaster, PA,
Wow.
of all places. But we had this corner room with windows, and we were really high up, and you could just open it both sides. I don't know. It was just really it was
Overlooking the
really
city of
yeah. It had a really
Lancaster?
nice bathroom, like a
Mm.
bubbly tub, and everything. It was really nice.
That's really nice. What about you,
Uh,
Paul?
Actually, one of my first dates with my wife was in Spain. And it
Wow.
was Cadiz, Spain. And we were sitting outside drinking wine, having tapas. And it was this little like nook of an alley across from a church. And we're just sitting there talking and whatever. And then these humongous church doors open and people had just got married and they were like throwing flowers in the sky and
Wow.
going through right past us. And we were just like, whoa.
Yeah.
That was
Very
a
interesting.
sign.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
maybe it was.
Serendipitous. That's what my fiance
Serendipity.
always says. Moments like that, serendipitous. It's like this sign that's telling you something is grander and larger than it
Yeah.
is. So I think a great way to kind of wrap this up is to reach out to our audience. And what is like a piece of advice or a message that you want to leave our PTZ Optics audience, whether it's about our joysticks, whether it's about love and Valentine's Day? How do you guys want to wrap this up and send love to all our great listeners and followers of PTZ Optics?
That's a great question. I guess when it comes to the joysticks, let them meet you where you are.
Oh,
So
nice.
whether you're looking for something super simple that will plug directly into your camera, if you're at the beginning stages, or just liking it simple, you've got volunteers you're working with, something like that, the HC Joy would be perfect. But once you get into an IP workflow, that's when you want to start looking at the PT joystick and the Super Joy. So let them meet you where they are. I think that's the message I would leave you with.
I love that. What about you, Paul?
I would say, show your joysticks some love by updating the firmware.
Oh,
Ooh.
perfect.
you
Don't
know,
forget about the firmware.
Give it a static IP address potentially. Go in there, set the password so no one attacks your lovely joystick.
Yeah, definitely.
There's some things you can do to really give your joystick some love. The cameras that it's connected to, set the presets and adjust the speed levels to your liking so that, the more you do to customize it, the love that you give, will be the love that you get back in your production value.
Oh, that was great, guys. That was so great. You guys just pulled that out of nowhere. I'm very
know, we can
impressed.
think on the spot. But
Well,
you put us on the spot.
Thank you for watching the pre-show for PTZ Optics. Stick around because we're going to talk about which joystick do you love. And remember, throw those roses down in the comments. We'll see you soon.